So if you're the kid in school who doesn't feel really particularly effective or competent at school, or you're not really connected with classmates, or you don't feel a lot of autonomy in your daily life, then you're going to particularly find the virtual world supplied by video games as intriguing places to be, because there you'll be able to have those satisfactions denied to you in the rest of life.
Jeffrey says that 1 hour of video games a night isn't a problem. But he plays 4, 5, 6, and he delays his bedtime, and then he wakes up feeling fatigued and fucked up, and he's late for work. The rest of the day is kind of messed up. Adonis doesn't do that. Jeffrey's excuse is that video games are just a bit of unwind, a bit of rest time. But Adonis doesn't say the same thing. Adonis rests by resting. Adonis knows that you only rest by resting. Video games are not a rest. Any kind of external stimulation is not a rest. And he needs his rest because he's going to go and accomplish the next day. When you're like Jeffrey and you believe that video games aren't that bad, if I only play 1 hour a day, they're not that bad. But Hamza, I only play... Bro. Video games allow real life losers to become winners. And I know that doesn't seem bad, or like, you know, let's give the little boy his game, you know, he feels good when he plays it. But that's the issue. He doesn't feel good in the world, and now he's escaping the world, because in the virtual world he's actually a high level. In the virtual world he's respected, and so that's his escape from his ordinary shitty life. And so in the instant gratification view, you might say, oh yeah, but today he'll be happier. Maybe he would be. But in the long term, what's it doing to him? In the long term, it's setting him up for an unideal life, and it's never going to change unless he steps away from the game. Because what happens when a video gamer quits? Nothing. If you're a gamer right now and you've tried to quit before and you did quit for a day or two, what happened? Literally nothing. You were pissed off about it, weren't you? You thought, wait, all these motherfuckers said that if I quit, that all my life would get better and I'd suddenly get six packs and I'd be really, really confident and I'd be able to hold eye contact with girls, but it didn't happen. Because what happens when a video gamer quits playing games? He goes about his normal day, apart from playing games, and he just lounges around on his phone and thinks, you know what? I'm bored. I'm not doing anything, I'm not making any progress, I may as well play some games because then I'll have a bit of fun and then I'll make some progress. So these dumbasses who quit, they only quit on the short term without actually changing the rest of their lives. They quit, and then for the 8 hours that they used to play, they just sit around just kind of thinking like, oh, League of Legends would be sure fun right now because I'm bored and I'm literally just scrolling on my phone and I'm just sat on watching YouTube, and I'd be having more fun if I was playing video games. So I may as well play video games. Well, dumbass, how about you actually go and include some good habits into your life so that you don't even need video games as the stimulus? And video games are fun is one of the biggest myths I can't believe that I have to bust, because it's almost common sense when I say what I'm about to say. If you think video games are fun, record yourself from a third person angle. Just record yourself whilst you play and count how many times you actually smile, count how many times you laugh. Almost zero. Like it might just be a couple, it might be a little bit of a handful. Maybe if you're playing on Discord and you're with your friends, this is the excuse that many people give, and they're like, oh, but I play with my friends. It's speaking to your friends, it's bonding with other humans, which is the fun part, not playing the game. You're not laughing whilst you play games, you're not smiling whilst you play games. You think you would be. I invite you to record yourself. I invite you to stream on Twitch or whatever and just rewatch the play, and you'll see that you literally look frustrated. You don't look like you're resting. You're not resting when you're putting all this stuff into your brain. You're corrupting your brain. So what are you gaining? You know, if we did advantages and disadvantages, we can't even put fun into the advantage. We can't even put rest or unwind into the advantage. What could we put into the advantage?
But there was a study that said if someone plays games every day, then they've got better hand-eye coordination.
Shut up, bro.
Better hand-eye. Oh, video games have got better.
Shut up, bro, pussy. Like, you just bring it up like unnecessary. Like, oh,
they've got better reflexes.
Like, shut up. Like, when is reflexes a skill that you really, really wanted to level up? It's just your excuse to say, oh,
but there is an advantage.
Shut up. What's the disadvantage? Okay, on a practical level, you're losing an hour a night, which is 4 hours at least. Then your sleep's getting messed up. Then you're waking up the next day and you're struggling to get into deep work. Now, you watching this right now, I know that I keep saying you, but you watching this right now, you're probably not playing many games anymore. So fantastic. I'm proud of you. That's what we do in my cult. We don't play fucking video games every single day. We understand now that there isn't many advantages to that. And it's only like a time fill. And the moment you start reading, the moment you actually start enjoying some of the self-improvement habits, you don't need this time fill anymore. Video gamers won't ever admit to you, but the reason why they play games is because they are utterly losers. Now, yeah,
oh, Hamza, there's a successful guy who plays... Shut up, bro. There's a successful guy who plays games, so you're wrong, Hamza.
Don't bring up some anecdotal evidence like, oh yeah, there's this one guy who makes 17 million a year and he plays video. Shut up, bro. dumbass.
And in fact, we found that people who are really vulnerable to video game overuse are exactly those people who are feeling deprived of basic psychological need satisfaction in their homes, schools, and workplaces.
The majority of guys who play video games are losers in real life. The reason why they dive deep into the virtual world was explained by this, the lecturer guy that I've had on the screen so far, because real life didn't give them the social success that they wanted, the achievements that they wanted. But notice the words that I just used there, because this is their mindset. Real life didn't give it to them. When would real life give it to anyone? You think real life gave Adonis his success? You think life gave it to him, or do you think he took it? You don't get stuff in the game, you earn it. And this is what's so interesting about video gamers, is that they've got so much potential, like an insane amount of potential. If you're a video gamer, if you're a nerd, you would do so well in real life. Your self-improvement is literally just waiting for you to dive deep and start thinking of self-improvement as the game. When you've been grinding on fucking virtual skills and you've got 99 rune crafting, that takes like 7 years. You've spent that many years just clicking on the screen, the altar, and just clicking the pure essence and just doing stuff on RuneScape, on World of Warcraft, even on League of Legends and Fortnite. You've literally built up, you understand how the world works, you understand how to level up, and it's just a shame that you just won't do it in real life, because real life is uncomfortable. The games are uncomfortable. Like, there's some kind of punishment for dying. In a lot of the games, if you die, you have to wait like 30 seconds, and that 30 seconds feels like a long time in a game. Even though that's uncomfortable, whatever metrics they've put in the game to punish the loser, the discomfort that comes from real life challenges is 100 times harder. And so this is the tricky part. We have a whole generation of guys with untapped potential that's not being unleashed, because there's nothing inherently wrong with these guys. There is nothing. They could be at my level. I am at my level. I am a video gamer. I spent my entire life playing video games every single day. And even though I was only allowed to play like 1 or 2 hours because my family wouldn't let me play, I'd obsess about it for the rest of the day. That's where it gets so disgusting, because think about that. Think that I only was allowed to play a couple hours a day. You're only playing video games for a couple hours, right? But for the rest of the time, your mind is corrupted because you are so addicted to that substance, that drug, that you want to go back there. And so for the rest of the day, I wasn't working on school. I wasn't doing my homework much. I wasn't doing really anything extra to excel, because I was thinking about leveling up in the game. When you have a game to level up in, you don't want to level up in real life as much. Because why would you? Why, if you're really absolved in a game and the game makes you feel happy, gives you the real rewards, right? Why would you want to train your strength in real life and actually feel the physiological pain of your muscle soreness when you can just go and train your strength on RuneScape and just click the cows? That's so much more comfortable. And then it's such a trap.
Just to give you one concrete example of that, we interviewed a man who was really a strong video game overuser. He was playing 35 to 40 hours a week of video games while working his full-time job. When we asked him, why are these games so compelling to you? He said, look, I've been on my job now for 20 years and I never level up. But I can go home every night and level up and feel effective. And we can see right there the needs density hypothesis in operation, which is somebody who's not finding satisfactions in a real world can readily find them in a virtual world.
But it's exactly like a drug. Like, video games are genuinely a drug. And I know that sounds so cliche, and it sounds like something like a 40-year-old white woman would say, 40-year-old Karen would say. But it's so true. They literally act exactly like a drug, where you get hooked onto the substance. Your friends, your friends, like literally people who are only your friends whilst you play the game. And what happens after you stop playing? They're not your friends anymore. You speak to them far less. They invite you in to start doing the drug together. You do the drug together, and it's actually really fun. You feel part of this social community. You feel so good. You got some kind of title and achievement. Everyone respects you. And so you keep coming back for the drug. You keep coming back for the drug. Eventually, 1 hour of the drug, one take of the drug wasn't enough, and you have to increase it because your tolerances went up. And now if you try and step away, you've got withdrawal symptoms. Video games are exactly a drug, and my generation are addicted to them. And so there's this argument. Oh, but 1 hour a night isn't bad. Like I said at the start, okay, 1 hour is a lie. That is a myth, the 1 hour of video games a night. That is a myth. There is no such thing as 1 hour of video games. No one's setting a timer for 60 minutes, because it's not even 60 minutes. By the time you've started the hour, you don't have an hour. You've got like 59 minutes. By the time you've loaded up the game, you've got like 52 minutes. You're waiting for that one dumbass friend to make his lunch before he plays. You've got 42 minutes. You've got the space of one league game if it's not a long game. No one is playing an hour. It's just the hour is like the nice excuse to say, oh, but you're wrong because I'm allowed to have an hour of resting time, but it's not rest. I'm allowed to have an hour of fun, but it's not even fun. And there's a bigger consequence. The dopamine receptors. Now, of course, this is going to be bro science, so don't fucking, oh, but
Hamza, you're wrong about the dopamine, because dopamine doesn't actually work like that. It's actually the serotonin.
just shut up, bro. This is bro science, bro. The bro science is going to say, because it's a drug, imagine the tolerance is like your dopamine, and dopamine is like what makes you feel happy. And video games, when you first started, actually used to give you a lot of enjoyment. Think back to the time where you used to play on like the box family computer with the roll-out keyboard. You actually would rush to go and play because it was sick back then. But now you just play because your life is shit and because you've got nothing else to do. But back then, your dopamine receptors weren't fried. And so you actually didn't struggle too much with other parts of work. But now, your life's suffering. When you play video games, you're frying your dopamine receptors. Now, you guys know that I preach the dopamine detox. That's the reason why I'm in front of you today. That's the reason why you're watching me. That's the reason why I'm in the best shape of my life. That's the reason why I finally, for the first time in my entire life, I've been able to be productive. I've been able to actually be disciplined. I know you're seeing me right now and you've seen the pictures of me and you've seen me shirtless, you've seen me working out, you've seen, the content that I've put out, and you think that I'm that guy who's hard worker. I'm not. I'm literally the video game dumbass. Like, as I played video games, I was a complete and utter loser, and I couldn't do any of the discipline stuff. I couldn't abstain from fapping. I couldn't stop eating junk food. The moment I stopped playing video games completely, and then I stopped, the social media and all this shit, and actually stopped frying my dopamine receptors, it's like the smallest things are actually fun for me now. And this is how you get that childlike excitement again, which no gamer has. Every gamer, don't they seem like their emotions are so almost repressed, where like they're not, do you know what I mean? They're not really alive, or they're not really having fun almost with anything that they do. Like, they'll burst out laughing when something happens, but a lot of the times you'll find that they're not exactly energetic. And that's again because video games aren't a rest. They don't rest you to give you more energy. They drain energy. So the last hour of the day that you're spending to unwind on video games, you're literally just draining all of the energy that you had, and now you're waking up and you're performing worse in the meaningful work that actually would have been giving you the real fun and enjoyment. You can go online right now and see the video game transformations, and I've said this before, this is why every single body transformation starts with the same line of, I used to play video games every single day, but then as soon as I quit, I started working out, I started leveling up in real life, and now people respect me, girls hold eye contact, and I've actually got a girlfriend now, and I feel really confident, I'm really happy. It's like every young man's transformation is like that. That's like the rite of passage from boy to man. And all you've got around you is just boys who just haven't transformed yet. And so they stay as boys, because you can only become a man when you take some responsibility over your life and your habits, and you start getting some real life achievements. If you're getting them in the game, then you're still like a little boy. Like, you're literally like a little boy who's playing games. I know that there's a lot of old boys who are 20, 25, 30 years old now who are still playing games, but they're still boys, they're not men. None of those people that you see you would actually consider to be masculine. You would consider them to be happy, because when you look at someone who's got fried dopamine receptors, they literally look like their natural state is unhappiness. They look like their natural state of being is like fried, like repressed happiness. Like the dial has been turned down. The longer that you go from frying your dopamine with either video games or social media or just the internet in general, it's like it slowly starts coming back up, and suddenly it's like happiness is like your normal emotion. It's like you're literally just happy unless proven otherwise, unless something else happens. Whereas as a nerd on video games, as an addict, you're only happy when you've got the substance. And part of the effect of that dopamine is the attention span. And this is something that's kind of picking up in the modern times now, where everyone knows that the more internet use, especially video games and social media, the less your attention span. Because we're literally about 90 seconds into this video, and the majority of people have clicked off. So welcome to the unfiltered section. If you're new here, the unfiltered section is a few minutes into the clip, because we know that by this point, all of the peasants with low attention spans have clicked off because the video wasn't as flashy as they needed to be. And now I can just speak freely because I already know that all of the guys who don't really vibe with me have clicked off. So I want to get deeper into this, but more on like a sad level. I don't know if you can do this, but if you just slightly visualize like your generation, just visualizing that right now, just think to yourself, my generation, and think what you actually see. Think about the men around you. Think about the girls around you. What are they actually doing with their lives? What's like the average person doing? Are they happy? No. Are they doing something that's benefiting the community, that's helping other people, that's advancing the human race or saving the animals or saving... No, they don't have a purpose. So what are they doing? They're just indulging, they're consuming. My generation is a bunch of consumers. My generation is a bunch of guys who are video game addicts and a bunch of girls who are validation and social media addicts. And of course, yeah, it goes, it can be switched vice versa, but generally that's the real stereotype, is most guys will be addicted to video games, most girls are addicted to social media. And so what does that mean? What does that mean for your friendships? What does that mean for the men around you and the men in your tribe? Is your tribe strong when you've got these type of men there? Is your dating pool, is the future mother of your child, is she gonna be genuinely the ideal mother that you wanted when she's a social media addict? Now, of course, the blue pill will say, I found the woman of my dreams, she's absolutely perfect. But then 11 years later, the divorce comes. But if you were able to take your ego out of the equation, you would say, no, I'm actually really scared of that. I'm actually scared that I want kids. I absolutely want kids. But I'm scared that 5, 10, 15 years down the line, what type of people are going to be there? What type of men are going to be in your tribe? What type of women are going to be in your life and your dating experiences? It's not looking like so good. And of course, the real answer, it's not the sexy answer at all. I'm not going to tell you here's the 2 quick steps. I'm not going to tell you that. The 2 long steps are stay on self-improvement, have a purpose, and then in 10, 15, 20, 25 years time, you'll actually have good quality people around you. Maybe faster if you've got the 700 IQ to create like a cult like I did, because in my cult we don't have video gamers. But I mean, Sam's a fucking video gamer. You fucking spurg, Sam, and the boys down, Sam. You've been editing this video like he's talking about me, isn't he? That's the unsexy answer. You commit to your self-improvement, you wait for a few years, you work hard, and slowly and surely the tribe around you changes. The men around you aren't playing video games as much. A lot of them still do play video games, but they've started replacing some of that time for self-improvement habits. Even though the majority of people won't actually call them self-improvement habits. They'll literally just be someone who was taught meditation when they were young. There'll be someone who likes to read. There'll be like the weightlifter who really likes to work out. Be the social guy who, do you know what I mean? So they won't actually consider it as self-improvement. But you'll find that as you improve, as your value goes up as a man, everyone around you starts to change and they become the high value people that you actually wanted to spend time with. And so there is a bit of this transition period, which I found is incredibly hard for you because you're probably at like the earlier stages of your self-improvement. And this transition period is where most guys slingshot back. So if you don't pay attention, honestly, that could happen to you, and it genuinely could. Even if I know that you're in my cult, you've joined the group, and you're committed onto this, but you are at the sensitive period where you could slingshot back because you've invested a decent amount into this. But think about how many hours, how many years, or how many months maybe you've been onto self-improvement. It's not that much. And then think about how many hours, how many years you've been into the normal life. You've been a consumer. You've been surrounded by consumers. You've got friends. You've got best friends who are consumers. You've got family who are consumers. It's most of your life. So we're like almost fighting an uphill battle to get you far away from that life. There is actually a big possibility. I see this so often where the young guys who come over exactly like you, and they slingshot back to normal life, because normal life has its hooks on you. You can't get so far away from the circle that you were raised unless drastic things happen. And so before I close this video down, I want to remind you of what the pathway, the trajectory is. And remember, it's not sexy. It's not like I'm not fucking selling you anything. I'm not gonna say, oh, if you buy the course, I'll fast track your, I'm not gonna say that shit. It's not sexy. It takes a while. It takes a lot of hard work. There's a chance that you fail, but if you're watching this far of the video, if you're a part of my cult, you're part of the group, you've been staying accountable, you've been following the videos and the advice, there is a good chance that you'll also succeed. And so the trajectory is that you've recently just started, you're only a few months or a year or so in to your self-improvements, and so you're just trying to get consistent into the behaviors. And these are the behaviors, these are the crucial ones. Even though at times they will almost start to feel insignificant to you, it's those basic behaviors, the daily exercise, the daily gratitude journaling, the daily meditation, the daily reading that will change your life. Because once they are set in stone, even when you don't feel like it, when they are set in stone, it's like your life has actually now like transformed. When meditation and exercise and journaling becomes as normal as eating and sleeping, now your life is changing. That's why we drill on those habits, the conventional self-improvement habits. We focus almost entirely on just getting them in the first period of your self-improvement. And then there comes a time where you actually start to feel like you've started to satisfy each and every part of the Maslow's hierarchy, and you're actually getting close to self-actualization. And so the main goal of your initial self-improvement period is to just look at this triangle and try to fulfill each and every need. Once each and every need is fulfilled and you're at the point of self-actualization, you can imagine that your cup has been filled to the brim. Now is the crucial part. Once you have this feeling of abundance and this feeling of confidence, you'll immediately know, because you'll almost automatically start helping other people, because you'll almost automatically actually have the energy to start doing that. In the transition period before the first period of self-improvement, you actually feel like you can't really help people. You've got to prioritize yourself. You don't want to have, like, you don't want your parents to tell you anything. You really don't want your parents or your partner or anyone to tell you any kind of tasks or obligations or responsibility, because you just want to focus on your own thing. Then there's a transition period where you actually want your parents to ask you to like hoover the house or to ask you to carry something, and you're actually proud of it because you're thinking, okay, I've been working out, now my mum's actually asking me to carry the shopping. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab all the bags and do it in one trip. Because my cup is full. So we're going to fill your cup up first. Fill your cup up, reach the point of self-actualization. Then you begin to really double down in helping other people. Now you are the pourer. You've started pouring, not your own cup, but like you've got excess anyway. You've literally got more and more water just falling into your cup. So now you're just pouring you've grabbed your friend's cup. You're like, oh bro, come here. You keep spilling all of it. Let me fucking fill it up for you, bro. Here you go, dumbass. That's what you do. And you're going to find this sensitive period, you must have this mindset to help other people. You must. So many guys in this red pill idea, this big alpha male, like, no, I'm not going to help anyone. Shut up, bro. If only for the selfish benefit that you get, when you help other people, your life gets so much better. Your self-improvement goes then on to the next level. Why would you deny yourself that privilege? You'll be stuck forever in this second period where like you spend the rest of your life obsessing over money, and you can never make enough money, and you spend the rest of your life just awkwardly without many friends, but you kind of got a couple friends but you don't really trust them, and you get like one good girl every 10 years of your life. What a shit little existence to stay in this part. When you start filling up other people's cups, yours was already full, right? And so most people would think, oh, because you've been pouring yours in. No, we don't pour our own into there, because we've already created the stream of like so much energy and whatever the fuck this is. So we've taken their cup, we're filling it up. The more you fill up other people's cup, your cup gets bigger. And that means that your cup now is literally like, it has the capacity to do even more and more and more and more. You have the capacity to do some insanely beautiful things that, like, I know it's cliche and it's cringy, but you literally have the capacity to change the world when you start with your self-improvement. I hope you can believe that. And if you can't just yet, obviously you're in one of the first few parts, and so you're thinking, no, like changing the world, that sounds really scary. I just want to do my own thing. I'm struggling to meditate. Hamza, I've been playing video games. Okay, that means you're at the first pit. Your cup's not full yet. Don't ever feel guilty for that. If your cup's not full, if you're currently someone who's struggling with playing video games, or if you're one of the 3 girls who watch my channel and you're struggling with the constant conversations and the Snapchat and the Instagram and the validation and all this shit, then you still need to fill your cup first. This needs to be your priority, because you can't help other people. You can't grab someone else's cup and help them fill it up when yours isn't full first. Fill yours first. Then you start filling other people's, and then your cup gets even bigger, and then you have the potential. It's like you've increased your potential. You're that cringy line that, oh, reach your potential. Well, now, yes, you've reached your potential, but when you help other people, it's like your potential goes even higher. Because once you start helping people, it's almost like a business where you start thinking, okay, I can help a certain amount of people right now. I feel good. How could I scale this? Because right now I can only help a couple of people because, it's limited to my time. I'm spending 20 minutes with each person. How could I scale this? How could I scale in a way that I could help 100 people? 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people. And when you start getting to this point, you will actually start to figure out the answer. And I think you can kind of see that I've started to figure the answer out. Just remember one thing. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.